Welcome to Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue brought to you on malcolmpresents.com, a new internet streaming platform, which we have several shows on. Of course, Conversations with Deborah is one of my favorites. I'm
Yeah.
Malcolm Berman, and with your co-host, Deborah Manning. Deborah?
Hey, how are you today?
Oh, by the way, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I know a lot of people don't like birthdays. I really love birthdays, and I don't care about the age. It doesn't make any difference. Just had a fabulous day. My name is Deborah Manning, and I'm a native Southern Californian, and moved to Greenville, South Carolina, 6.5 years ago. We're coming up on almost 7 years, and it's been really an interesting experience for this tall Southern California blonde, I must say. And as I say, today is my birthday, and I awoke to the singing of birds because we had a tremendous amount of rain, 2 to 3 to 4, almost 4 inches here in Greenville, with tornado warnings. And in fact, we ended up going down to the basement with all 6 cats to wait out a tornado warning that in
Wow.
fact went over the top of us and ended up I'd say about 20 miles away from us. And these storms pretty powerful, I must say. But today I woke up, I say I had birds singing because we have lots and lots of bird feeders all around. And of course, surrounded by the 3 indoor cats. And it just, life is good. Life is good. And just came back from a walk around Furman Lake. That's a university, a private university around here, and just gorgeous. Saw brand new goslings. They were Canadian geese. They have a brand new brood of goslings that they're training and teaching how to enjoy Furman Lake. So had a good time. Had a very good time.
Good.
It was nice. So
Now,
it's been an interesting week, has it not?
well, it's been I don't know if you can call it interesting. It's been depressing. Well, like I did this last show with the show before this yesterday with
Yeah.
uh, Wayne Bouchard, and we're talking about we were getting angry. We were getting angry at our Congress for doing nothing, for turning their backs on it. And Wayne was, I don't think this is a point of dialogue because I am for gun control, not gun elimination, not the end of gun, but a certain amount of gun control where an 18-year-old kid on his birthday can't go in and buy a AR, what is it, AR 45, AR 35, whatever,
AR-15, AR-15.
yeah, AR 15.
High velocity magazine and
Right,
high.
an 18-year-old kid without any screening at all. I'm not against people buying, rifles because they're into hunting. I'm not even I don't agree with it, but I don't mind the people getting licensed to carry a handgun, not
Mhm,
on them, but in the house for protection.
mhm.
But there should be some sort of licensing. There should be some sort of background check. There's some sort of use check that they know how to use it, not where you can
Well,
just go in and get the AR-15 at 18 years old.
it's interesting because both Malcolm and I, we've known each other for about 20 years. And I used to do a radio program with my late husband called Real Money back in Los Angeles. And I've been a news reporter for 20 years plus, and I always showed both sides of the story. And while I may at this point right now, since I'm no longer a news reporter, but still an investigative reporter, I tend to be conservative. And I think that Malcolm, you tend to be more liberal. But the reason that we're doing this broadcast is that we do need to find some common ground. And on these issues, I know that I do deviate from many of my conservative friends. I cannot justify an 18-year-old child buying a weapon of such magnitude. It's horrific. I don't condone it. I don't like it. I don't like the whole idea of quote unquote gun control. However, I don't have a problem with massive background checks. I think that it's necessary to do those background checks. But I think in this particular case with the Texas 18-year-old who went in through an unlocked door into a school, I guess I'm scratching my head going, why in the world would you have an unlocked door at an elementary school?
Well, I mean, I'm not even concerned about that.
Well, I think it's one of the basics. I do recall that when I was a kidlet, and it's been a long time, but when I was a kidlet, that we had locked classroom doors that during class that if you needed to go to the bathroom, for example, you had to get a hall pass, and there was a hall proctor that would escort you to the restroom, wait for you outside, and then escort you on back. The doors were locked on the outside. You could get out, but you couldn't get back in. Same thing with recess. You went out one single door, recess was over, you had 5 minutes to get back into your class. And if you didn't, you would be talking to the assistant principal. So one of those things is, I don't understand why there wasn't some sort of a proctor. That proctor didn't have to be armed, but the basics, lock the freaking doors. And then when you had, apparently there's been reports, and once again, as soon as I heard this report, I had to sign off the news. I couldn't listen to it. It's
well, they just said I heard the report of I forgot how, I think she's an 11-year-old or 8-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Who was in the room, and she called 911. And what she did is she was laying next to a classmate of hers who was obviously dead and bleeding. And she took the blood from the classmate to smear over herself because she wanted the shooter to think that she was dead.
Yeah.
And can you imagine what went through that girl's mind and the effect it's going to have on her in life? And
well, I hope what they end up doing is in some way making this if it's at all a positive, making it a positive, because that girl used her common sense, as horrific a situation as this was, to be able to live and to survive. And she's now a survivor. And I think those individuals who did survive should be given the counseling that they need to be brave and to be bold.
But I can't see now. We have some legislation in front of the Senate that needs, because of the filibuster, it needs 60 votes to come to the floor.
Are you talking about the law that was backed by the Parkland shooter, the parents of the Parkland shooter?
I think there might be several things that might be in front of the Senate that they can't even get on the floor because of the filibuster. They need 60 votes.
Well, let me do a little bit of clarification. I understand that Chuck Schumer, who is head of the Senate at this point, turned down that legislation that was sponsored by the parents of the Parkland school victims. And what I don't understand is, once again, Malcolm, and you and I can agree on a whole variety of different things. I don't understand why Chuck Schumer would be turning down such legislation that was worked out. The Parkland shooter situation was horrific, and the lawmakers were working with parents to get something pulled together. I don't know the information about the bill, but I don't understand how the head of the Senate, a Democrat, could turn down such legislation.
I don't know what that legislation is. The only thing that I do know is that we've elected 100 men and women to be senators, and they have full-time jobs in guiding our country. Now, for the life of me, whether it be that bill or whatever other bill there is to come to, obviously a bill, since, I would be harder on gun control than conservatives. But there should be a middle ground that an 18-year-old cannot buy an automatic weapon. And
you and I agree on that.
There shouldn't be automatic weapons. There's no logical reason that our population, anybody in this country, needs to buy an automatic weapon. The automatic weapons were built for soldiers for during wartime. that were meant for mass killing, not
Well,
meant for hunting. It's not
technically,
meant for protection.
technically, you can't buy an automatic weapon. It can be uh, engineered to make it automatic, but you can't buy one to be automatic. But I
Uh,
agree with you. I don't understand, and I'm a gun owner. Don't get me wrong.
No,
And
I don't think, don't get me wrong. I don't think of gun banishment. I don't think they should take away
but
guns.
I don't either.
I think, uh, whatever, if that's your hobby, that's your hobby. If it's collecting, if you like hunting, which I don't agree with hunting because I see these hunting shows and I
I know.
see these magnificent
Me
deers
too.
or
Me too. Me
you know,
too. I can't watch them.
elks, and
Watch
these
them.
guys looking at and
I
and
can't.
his
Don't even
buddy
go any
saying,
further. I can't even think about
I'm
it.
going to kill this. I sort of
I,
it disgusts me.
I know.
But I'm not after banning it. But what I'm doing is some sort of regulation where they need a background check. I know people can buy guns, illegally, and they could, the criminals will always have something, guns or something that they're going to be attack people. But for the life of me, I don't see why the general public cannot do not have to have certain background checks. Let's say for you or for me, if I went to buy a gun and
Mhm.
they did a background check, I'm sure both
Yeah.
of us would pass.
Yeah,
And
of
then
course,
there'd be a waiting period and that
of
I'd
course,
be licensed to have that
of
gun.
course. And
Uh,
I think not only should you be licensed, my dear, but you need to be required to have training. Like a
Right,
driver's license, you need to have
right.
training.
That's the next step. So we're both in agreement with that.
We
But
are very
for
much.
whatever reason, there are these 100 men and women who can't come up with a basic law. I mean, let's negotiate. Let's take some things out and some things you're not going to get 100% of what you want. I'm not going to get 100% of what I want. But let's get some sort of basic law going
Yep.
where not every, I think this is twice in 8 days, there was a mass killing,
Yeah.
not with children, the one in Buffalo. But I think the United States has done the most, a mass shooting in the world.
Well, the other issue we have as well, do you realize that the number of children slaughtered, it was horrific, obviously, in Texas, but the number of children being slaughtered on a regular basis in Chicago, I'm slack-jawed
Oh, yeah,
as
well,
to
yeah,
why that situation has not been solved. Now, I understand it's criminals, it's gangs, it's stolen guns and blah, 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 and what have you. But there are as many children, if not more children, that have been slaughtered
I
in
agree.
Chicago.
It's known
What
as
the hell are we doing?
it's easy access to guns, and guns kill. Guns kill, but they say guns don't kill, people kill. No, guns kill. That's
Well,
what they
people
meant.
kill, and I do think it would be an interesting idea is if you have someone who commits a crime with a gun, that you go ahead and this person cannot be allowed out in normal society any longer. There's
Right,
something, you've crossed a line when you're using a gun in the commission of a
right.
crime, and you've crossed a line.
I,
So
I
I'm
agree.
not understanding why we're allowing judges and unfortunately many progressive judges that are now on the bench, allowing these people to go free.
Well,
We, in a normal everyday society, Malcolm, we need to be protected because I don't want to have to be running around going shopping and having a firearm on me. I mean, that's not America.
if you did, you'd move to Texas.
Oh, please.
Well, they can have it's open season there. You can carry open arms, and you don't
Well,
have to.
I know here in South Carolina, we defeated that. And you do need to be licensed to do concealed carry and blah, 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 and all of that. But nonetheless, I mean, I've got, when I left the news business, went into the residential loan business, and then I ended up doing private investigation, I actually did security detail for the Honorable Mrs. Reagan when she was in Orange County. And we had, of course, to be licensed and we had to have background checks and blah, 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 and all of that. But it's a deadly weapon. It kills
Right.
individuals. It
Right.
kills people. And I remember my first experience on the gun range, and it was a profound experience. And I don't mean to, go crazy on you about things, but it was a profound experience where you suddenly realize that you had the ability at this point to be able to, you could kill another human being. And they had you do targets, but they also had you, when we were doing our guard cards, had figures, and you had to be able to shoot somebody in the head and shoot somebody in the heart to be able to do it. Once again, that was what it was all about, because obviously if you're going to do a security detail for the First Lady of the United States, you needed to handle a weapon. But it's a profound experience. And I think to allow an 18-year-old, hell, even a 21-year-old, that they're too young to be able to understand and comprehend truly what this is. And combined with the fact now that you're looking, these video games, I don't mean to be on a high horse about video games, but I get very, very concerned about these one-on-one shooting video games. It desensitizes people, it desensitizes the gamers. And at that point, I start to get very, very concerned. The other thing that apparently happened here, and we're just now finding out, is that the law enforcement, and once again, I don't want to be critical about law enforcement. After all, we have completely denuded them with this defund the police. They waited outside for more than an hour while the gunman was inside. And I'm shaking my head going, what the devil was going on? And apparently they were arresting mothers and fathers who wanted to go in and get their children out of the other rooms.
Yeah, what I don't understand, which I haven't made clear, now that hour period, was he able to kill more people, more kids, or were all the damage done?
Nobody is saying anything about that. That's going to be a real key right there. Nobody is saying anything.
Because they thought that this, the news that I heard, they thought that the classroom was empty aside from the shooter. But I gather then that they didn't hear any gunfire.
Well, my other issue, of course, and I'm only doing it from the training that I've received, is that you had windows, and I'm not understanding why outside you are not being able to look inside the windows. Now, I don't want to overthink and try and Monday morning quarterback this, but you scratch your head and go, what in the world was going on in the minds of these police officers? Now they're saying that they were beat officers, what have you, that's fine. But nonetheless, I don't understand why you would be arresting mothers and fathers and not actually taking a shot through windows.
Mothers and fathers, because the mothers and fathers were trying to get into the room. But the other thing about the room, they said that they originally said the room was barricaded. The room wasn't barricaded. The lock was on the door. So when they got to the janitor just opened the door.
Hello.
It's totally unchanged. But that's not my main issue of this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's horrendous. My main issue is that he should not have been able to get the gun in
I
the
agree.
first place to be in that situation.
I
And my
agree.
main issue is we have 100 people in the Senate. And I don't see how there are 50 Republicans who would vote against any gun control legislation. And and the whole thing is, oh, we're politicizing this. Of course we are.
Well, but the other problem the Democrats are going to have is, once again, what the stunt that Chuck Schumer pulled yesterday, which was to turn down the legislation that was co-sponsored and worked with by the parents of the Parkland.
Again, I can't comment about that because I don't know why he turned it down and what it had in there, or it just wasn't tough enough. But there should be a way of, supposedly our leaders. Now, I sort of like put this in quotes, our leaders cannot do anything but, excuse the expression, they're masturbating in their room. They're playing with themselves. They aren't putting through any legislations. They're not talking to each other.
Well, I think that this particular one is going to be the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
I've heard this said for the last since the what was it, Columbine was the first. I heard this said, oh, now we're really going to do something.
Yeah. And the other thing that's remarkable to me is that for example, on the Buffalo shooter, this is one that happened 4 days before this one. The Buffalo shooter had a 180-page manifesto talking about how much he hated Blacks and African Americans, what have you. Now, I'm not understanding why, if Facebook can bust and Twitter can bust conservative thoughts, why they're not able to bust terrorist thoughts. I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding why you have, and I have a number of conservative friends on Facebook who have been taken off Facebook, put in Facebook jail, and yet they were not looking at a 180-page manifesto.
I have no word. I have even in like YouTube, where if we use the F word in YouTube, they threaten to pull me off YouTube. Someone's listening to it when
That's good.
Yeah.
So we can't use the word like Frank, or
No,
we can't use
a friend.
or friend.
But actually, what I've been noticing also, I don't know how you feel about it.
What?
I'm sensitized with FU being used as frequently as it does in mass media. Well, not mass media, because you can't do it on the networks. But if you listen to the movies, any of the movies that are are being produced now, or any of the movies on cable, that word is frequently used.
Well, not only that, but not only that word.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it that much, because I know within my group I use it.
I get tired of it. I also get tired of the N word. I remember, and my mother talked to me about the N word and explaining exactly what it meant and why it was derogatory. I remember one Halloween I wanted to go in blackface, and my mother sat me down and explained to me, this is what this means. Once again, I just think that the parental bonds and the parental experience has been so interfered with, and I'm not sure where, because I do have to tell you, I'm very, very concerned about this culture where, for example, men like you, a white man, you're demonized because you're white and you're a man. I'm astounded by that. This particular young man, both of these young men, had no strong paternal figure, and Sandy Ocasio-Cortez had a big diatribe on saying that the whole reason that there was such a problem was because there was too much paternalism, there was too much fatherism on things. I don't agree with that. I'm tired of men being demonized. You should not be demonized. You're an important part of the yin and the yang of putting a family together, raising children, and keeping the sanity in the American culture. And for you to be demonized, I'm sorry.
I don't feel demonized. Actually, I feel more prejudice against the fact, I haven't felt it much personally, but the fact that I'm Jewish, the anti-Semitism around the world is rabid.
Yeah.
And when I tell people I did not kill Jesus.
Thank you.
I did not know the man.
Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, I believe in Jesus's teaching. I don't believe he's the Son of God, but I think he was a sage, a very wise man. And we would all be better off if we read what he said.
Thank you.
And listened to him. And so would the church, the right wing, the conservative right, who are the religious right. They do not follow his teachings. If they followed his teachings, they would not be so anti-immigration. They would not. They would try to relieve some of the hunger and the of the world. And somebody's trying to get me. Let's see, they're trying to. Actually, I have a call from Texas.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but every time I see another state, I always answer my calls because of the show. But basically, it's always trying to sell me something, or I'm at that, the Medicare age.
Yeah, no.
I keep on getting between Medicare and Spectrum. Oh,
that and solar panels.
Yeah, no, not so much. So no, the big thing is the extended warranty for your car.
Yes.
And I went to my mechanic and he said, the problem with extended warranties for your car is they cover nothing.
Yes, that's right. You're absolutely right.
Every time I've had an extended warranty and I said, oh yeah, I have a warranty in this. And they really said, well, that's not covered in this.
But we're coming up to Memorial Day and a lot of people are trying to get on the road. And at this point right now, here in South Carolina, our gas prices are now at $4.14 a gallon. How about there in California?
It's in the low sixes.
Well, I think that we finally found out the reason for all of this. And President Biden had given a speech, I think, a couple of days ago, and he was talking about, I think it was called the Great Transformation, that he said, God willing, this great transformation will continue to move America towards a cleaner future and blah, blah, blah. He was talking in reference to reducing the high gas prices. So there are some stations now in California that are now prepping for $10 a gallon in terms of gasoline. I'm not really sure exactly how we're going to handle this, because if we all ended up going into electric vehicles and we all plug them in, I understand that the electrical grid is in such bad shape that we would completely blow up the electrical grid. So I would really like to have some solutions from this administration, which once again, I may not have voted for this individual. I may not have voted for President Biden, but I want him to succeed. I do want him to succeed, but not on the backs of us.
I am sorely disappointed by both Democrats and Republicans. I'm disappointed in our politicians, the people who decide to run for office. Again, there's no leadership. They're like robots. They become a Republican. I am a Republican. I will do what McCarthy says to do. Same way as I am a Democrat. I will do what Schumer wants me to do. Not necessarily the president, but Schumer. And but there's no leadership. There's no say, hey, I have an idea. And the Republicans aren't coming up with any ideas to mitigate any of the problems that we have. They are more the anti-party.
Well, one of the things I would suggest for everybody who's watching this, please contact your representative, whether the representative be city council, whether it be a county supervisor, whether it be your representative in the House, your state senator, your US senator. We need to tell our lawmakers about our dissatisfaction. And now, according to Reuters, President Biden's approval is now down to 33%. So that doesn't mean anything, because at this point right now, it appears as though he's not going to be changing policy anytime soon. In fact, now that Jen Psaki is gone, and they've put a new person in, what's St. Marie John?
I forget her name.
Saint Marie.
She seems to be a very competent person.
Well, she's a good reader. She seems to read things really well.
Let her get her, as I say, let her get her feet get wet before she starts, because she's not supposed to tell you what she feels. She's supposed to interpret what the president says to her.
I understand that, but I do wish that there could be some way in which we could stop this situation where the middle class and the lower middle class are paying for these policies. I know at this point right now, we decided to splurge and get some baby back ribs. Those baby back ribs have gone up about $4, $5 a pound. So we're cutting way back, but it's those little indulgences that we had wanted. We have baby back ribs maybe once every 6 months, but I was stunned to see what the price was. Stunned at the price of bacon. Fortunately, we have hens, so we have our own eggs. So.
But we have to realize that it's a world economy. It's not only our country. The gas situation is not only due to Biden and what he's doing. It may be not helped, but that's not the whole situation. The whole situation with the inflation is not necessarily what we're doing. The whole situation is what China is doing, what Russia is doing. The world has to learn how to work together. And the thing which I find actually most important, no matter what we do with these little things, if we do not do anything about climate control, if we do not listen to a majority of the scientists say how we can improve the situation, there ain't going to be a world. The world is going to be uninhabitable. That's
Well,
why they say
at this point right now, if we do $10 a gallon gasoline, there will not be a world, because what's interesting is and I'll bring a book to our session next week, talking about how it's not just gasoline that powers America. But for example, diesel prices here in South Carolina are up in the mid fives, almost $6 a gallon. Trying to diesel and diesel trucks power the economy of America. And as we're not able to move goods from the East or the West Coast, I don't know how we're going to be able to, continue to have an economy that's healthy. We're already seeing the GDP. You saw the latest figures, didn't you?
actually no.
Well,
If you don't tell me, I don't know what it is.
okay. Well, the GDP went down again for this last month. So we went down to, I believe we were down 1.5%.
So what did you say? It's not a depression, it's a recession?
Well, what it means is it's the overall productivity of the country. So it means the gross national product of the country, we're becoming less and less productive, because once again, this inflation is just eating us alive. Now, I remember the 70s, as do you. I remember the 80s, as do you.
I was just a toddler in elementary school.
I know, but I gotta tell you, those were very, very tough times, especially in the late 70s. And it was tough to get a job. I remember getting one of my first jobs at $1.43 an hour. And I saved my pennies to be able to get into one of my first apartments. But inflation, I don't believe that these last two generations have seen this kind of inflation for the last 20, 25 years. In fact, the inflation is the word that we've hit it 40 years.
Anyway,
Yeah.
our time has run out.
Oh, no.
It's a last hour. Oh, by the way, I want to talk to you because next week want to do our show an hour earlier or so.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, because I have a memorial service to attend to. A good friend of mine. But anyway, just want to give one thought to our audience. Read the Second Amendment. See exactly what it says. It says the bear arms for the militia.
And read the 14th Amendment, because the 14th Amendment talks about making sure that people are not discriminated against, especially on the basis of skin color or race or nationality.
Right.
It underlines, obviously, the Bill of Rights, but the 14th Amendment was put in there specifically to make sure that we maintain our American culture as individuals and not as separate races, because that's not American.
Our American culture is a combination of all races, creeds, and religions.
Indeed, and we agree upon that.
And anyway, have a great week. Have a great birthday weekend, because
thank you.
Because Fish, your husband has celebrated his birthday this week.
Yes, we had birthday week, so it was fun. He was the 23rd, and I'm the 27th. So
I don't know what they say. Go out and get drunk or get high or whatever you do that makes you happy.
Whatever it does, we'll be dancing. We'll be dancing away.
And I'll see you next week.
All righty. Thanks so
Bye.
much. And my love to Anna, your wife.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.